Let's go. Yeah, here we go. I got something. Dream is alive? No, I got something for you. I got something. All right, guys, I'll be back for space news here, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I gotta go run some errands. I'll be right back. You're screwing up my chroma screen. Will you stop screwing up my chroma screen?
No.
Jeez. Look at all the chroma fail going on here. Alright, be right back.
Nestled against the San Gabriel Mountains near Pasadena, California, is a gateway to the solar system and beyond. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory. A NASA facility, it has been managed since the time of its creation by the California Institute of Technology, or Caltech. When visitors first enter the laboratory's museum, they are greeted by an image of 3 space pioneers from a half-century ago, captured in a moment of celebration. Explorer was forged in the cauldron of the Cold War, at a time when JPL was building not spacecraft, but missiles that carried atomic weapons. This is the story of how JPL entirely changed direction and purpose. This is also the story of a satellite that would give the world the very first space science discovery, one that would change our understanding of how life on Earth came to be. White Sands, New Mexico. This is where JPL conducted test launches of its Cold War missiles. Close by is the Trinity site, where the United States detonated the first atomic bomb that brought World War II to a close. The lab's origins dated back to 1936, when a group of Caltech students and enthusiasts began conducting modest rocket engine tests. Those hand-to-mouth efforts would have likely died had not the U.S. Army seen uses for the rocket. By 1945, JPL's work was at the forefront of American knowledge of rocketry with this missile, the WAC Corporal. Though many Caltech professors wanted to abandon classified military work at the war's end, the arrival of the Cold War only intensified the pressure to tap the Institute's expertise in rocketry.
In a certain respect, World War II has never ended. Modern weaponry and arms racing pose a great challenge to the very values that we Americans were defending. How long could it remain a free society if it had to become a garrison state, an arsenal?
JPL's WAC Corporal was only an experimental rocket, but in the fall of 1945, a new group arrived at White Sands with rocket combat experience. Some 120 German engineers who had built Hitler's V-2. Over 3,500 of these missiles, each armed with a ton of high explosives, were launched against European Allied cities in the last year of the war. But as Germany collapsed, the leader of the V-2 team, Werner von Braun, led members of his group away from their rocket facility to avoid capture by the Russian army. During the escape, von Braun was injured in a car wreck, but he succeeded in his plan of surrendering to the Americans. The capture of von Braun, many of his engineers, and a stockpile of V-2s were among the greatest spoils of the war.
Wernher von Braun, there's a dark side to his background in Nazi Germany. Building a rocket is one thing. Building it for an evil regime, using concentration camp labor that is worked to death, beaten to death if they step out of line, and thousands of people died in the process of building V-2s. In the 1960s, Tom Lehrer, the satirist, wrote a song about Wernher von Braun, and one of the phrases from that was, "The rockets go up and where they come down, that's not my department," said Wernher von Braun. In other words, he wasn't concerned about what you do with these things or with the process you go to build them. He just wants to build his rockets.
The Army wanted to learn all it could about von Braun's V-2. Over 60 of them would be launched from White Sands.
There was, at first, a sense, okay, we'll bring him over for a short period of time, we'll learn what we can from this group, and then we'll send them back home. And that didn't happen.
Von Braun quickly Americanized himself. Charming and a born marketeer, he would become the most recognizable advocate in America for space exploration. He spun visions of a new generation of missiles and put forth grander ambitions: Earth-orbiting satellites, excursions to the Moon and Mars, and a battle station capable of raining nuclear devastation from orbit, thereby establishing once and for all military superiority. In their first encounters at White Sands, the German and JPL groups found themselves side by side, sharing the same launch pad and hangar. There was no doubt who had the larger missile. The tail end of this V-2 dwarfs a nearby JPL rocket. The JPL team, though, was not particularly impressed. They were ahead of the Germans, they believed, in guidance and control, and feelings about the war were still raw.
The war was just over. There's a lot of suspicion about what von Braun and his team represented. There undoubtedly was a certain amount of rivalry as well. And in fact, Louis Dunn, who was became director of JPL in 1946, actually refused to allow von Braun onto the laboratory grounds at one point until the colonel, who was the liaison person at JPL, basically said, "Yeah, they're part of the Army too, and you should let them on." So I think there was certainly a lingering tension.
It took 2 years, but in 1947, the Army had the JPL and German teams working together. A 15-ton V-2 was mated with JPL's smaller WAC Corporal, which served as the upper stage. This combined multi-stage rocket was nicknamed the Bumper WAC. On the 5th launch attempt in February of 1949, JPL's upper stage soared to a height of nearly 250 miles. Though it did not go into orbit, the JPL rocket became the first object to reach beyond dispute the boundary of extraterrestrial space. A year later, a Bumper WAC was also the first rocket ever to be launched from a mosquito-infested swamp in Florida bearing a name few knew how to pronounce and even fewer had ever heard of: Cape Canaveral. The sense of accomplishment, though, had already been overshadowed by the knowledge that the Soviet Union had detonated its first atomic bomb in 1949, years ahead of expectations. America's atomic monopoly was over, and the world was about to plunge deeper into the Cold War. One Cold War dilemma facing the United States was how to defend Western Europe against a Soviet invasion without deploying a permanent full-scale army, a prospect that would damage the American economy. The solution was the strategy of deterrence. The Soviet attack would be countered with nuclear weapons. With tensions mounting, the Army pressed JPL to transform its research on a test missile into an operational weapons system to be deployed in Europe. Called the Corporal, this short-range missile was to be used near the front lines. Specifications called for hitting a target with relative precision at a range of 75 miles. In charge of building the Corporal was a Caltech professor, destined to become JPL's next director, the New Zealand-born William Pickering. The taciturn Pickering lacked the flash of a Wernher von Braun, but he was just as tenacious and as ambitious.
When the Army came to the lab and said that, look, now the Germans have this V2, we want you guys to do some research on trying to understand the longer range ballistic missiles, long range in those days being 100 miles, like a V2. The Corporal rocket was a radio-controlled, radio-guided rocket. It performed reasonably well, although the fact that it was a rehash of a research device meant that it was never really a very good production rocket.
Pickering had once half-joked that JPL could do anything, but building the Corporal proved a humbling assignment. While the first test went well, the next few were disastrous.
You know, we had some that went south. The term "went south" means we fired them from the launch area in White Sands, and the firing range was north. And south of the firing range was Mexico and Juarez and what have you. So it was not good to go. But we had some that actually, instead of going up this way, they went the wrong way. They went south.
As a way of acknowledging the rocket's setbacks, JPL produced for the Army a self-satirizing film called The Corporal Story. The Army brass laughed at the film, but they continued to press to have the Corporal deployed. Matters weren't helped by a list of growing requirements. Better accuracy was demanded under all kinds of weather conditions. Though originally envisioned as carrying an atomic warhead, the option of biological or chemical payloads was also tested. The complications of launching a Corporal from White Sands paled in comparison with a launch attempt in the field. The toxic nature of the fuel made for hazardous conditions for the missile crew, even in a non-combat environment. The training of crews revealed that getting into firing position required as much as 4 hours of preparation, to say nothing of an entourage of trucks, equipment, and personnel that on an open road often stretched for more than a dozen miles. Once designed, the production line was turned over to industrial contractors. More than 1,000 Corporals would be built. With a reliability rating of only 60%, the Corporal rushed into the field in 1955. Though marginal as a weapons system, the presence of the rocket was hoped to be a psychological deterrent, as the nuclear warhead the corporal carried was 3 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. By the mid-1950s, JPL had tripled in size. The work was serious and intense, but JPLers played just as hard. Think of a sport, any sport, and more than likely, JPL had a team. There were baseball teams, basketball teams, bowling teams, archery clubs, chess clubs, golf clubs, gun clubs, motorsports clubs, and even a UFO and a woodchoppers club. When they weren't competing for fun in the daylight hours, they might be found socializing and dancing the night away at the Elks Club. There were summer dances, fall harvest dances, masquerade dances, winter dances, and the spring coronation ball, where every year the laboratory director crowned a new Miss Guided Missile. The director by now was William Pickering, who reveled in this coronation duty. Tequila. This beauty pageant contest was an eagerly awaited social event. Each year, competing groups at the lab mounted elaborate campaigns to have their candidate bestowed with the title of Miss Guided Missile. It was all a way to blow off steam, for back at work awaited their jobs, which one way or another, male or female, was about the serious business of building missiles for the Cold War. What the Army wanted next was a faster, less complicated, and more accurate missile. The answer was to go back to the solid fuels JPL had pioneered in the 40s to propel planes into the sky. Guided missiles, bound to explode, destroying my heart, is your goal.
The purpose of Sergeant Firings, number 11 and 12, will be to test fire the first 2 fully guided experimental model Sergeants to an assigned target. 2 identical...
The Sergeant was a second generation to do about the same job, but to take advantage of all we learned and to know from the very beginning we started to design it for field use in a military situation.
But relations with the Army were beginning to fray, especially when JPL cautioned that as many as 50 test rounds of the Sergeant might be needed before arriving at a deployable system.
It was pretty obvious that the lab was probably coming to an end with its work for the Army. That the lab, as a part of Caltech, was feeling that the work we were doing was not really very appropriate.
Pickering and others were envisioning a new future for the laboratory. If they had their way, the Sergeant would be the last missile JPL would ever build. But the same guided missile will get you in the air. All of the U.S. military branches saw uses for rockets tipped with nuclear warheads. But President Eisenhower was intrigued by another use for missiles.
Reconnaissance satellites, spies in the sky.
Nikita Khrushchev had rejected Eisenhower's open skies proposal to use airplanes for mutual reconnaissance. How hostile, Eisenhower worried, would the Soviet Union be to a satellite flying overhead?
The great question hanging over the inauguration of the space age was, is it legal to orbit satellites over the territory of other countries? Is outer space subject to the same airspace laws that airplanes have to obey? It's not legal to fly U-2 airplanes over the Soviet Union if the Soviet Union doesn't permit it. Their airspace is an extension of their national sovereignty, extending upward. Usque ad coelum, in the Latin phrase, even unto the heavens.
In 1955, a potential solution to the problem appeared. Physicist James Van Allen was helping spearhead an effort to launch a satellite to study the Earth as part of a worldwide science effort called the International Geophysical Year, or IGY. Eisenhower immediately seized on the opportunity.
One of the things that Eisenhower was interested in pursuing was making sure that the first satellites into orbit were not viewed as military satellites, not viewed as national security assets. So a scientific satellite was perfect for that.
Shortly after Eisenhower's pronouncement, the Soviets announced they would also launch a satellite. A competition was now underway, not only with the Soviet Union, but within the Pentagon. All three military services competed to launch America's first satellite. The most serious contender seemed to be the Army's proposal, which once again lashed together the rockets of JPL and the German V-2 group. By now, von Braun and his team were Alabamans. After all their V-2s were fired off at White Sands, they were reassigned to Huntsville and were now under the command of General John Bruce Medeiros. During World War II, Medeiros came close to being a casualty of one of von Braun's V-2s. Now the former German adversary was working for him. Yet the stigma associated with the Nazi V-2 was likely one of the reasons why the Army's proposal to launch the first satellite was rejected in favor of the Navy's Vanguard project, a rocket designed strictly for scientific purposes.
One significant difference between Vanguard and us was they had no military hardware involved in it. It was all nice civilian type, which is one reason it didn't work as well. They didn't have the experience.
The first of 3 Earth satellites to be launched by the U.S. during the International Geophysical Year just starting is about ready for its adventure into outer space.
The Army was both shocked and furious with the selection of Vanguard and demanded a review of the decision.
This caused great consternation in Huntsville at the Redstone Arsenal, where General Bruce Medeiros and Dr. von Braun had the hardware on hand to launch a satellite next week if they were just given the go-ahead to do so, but they were told, no, you're absolutely forbidden to launch a satellite. The Vanguard program is going to be our contribution to the IGY.
The Army consoled itself with work on a new generation of the V-2, a rocket that became known as the Jupiter C. This missile, carrying a nuclear payload, was to have a range of 1,500 miles. To reach such distances, the missile's flight path required boosting the warhead out of the atmosphere at the height of its trajectory. Surviving re-entry while accurately hitting the intended target was a new technological challenge. And for a third time, the German and JPL teams found themselves working together. As with the bumper whack, JPL would provide the upper stage, a boost theoretically strong enough to send a satellite into orbit.
And we indeed did quite a number of, several tests with von Braun's people in lobbing a re-entry test vehicle about 3,000 miles out into the Atlantic. we realized that all we had to do was add another stage, and we could have put that into orbit. That the Russians were hard at it. We thought the Russians were well ahead of the Vanguard program, and if only we were given the go-ahead, we could do it.
There was a deep suspicion on the part of some people in the Eisenhower administration that von Braun and General Medeiros, the commander at Huntsville, were a bit out of control, and that they might simply go ahead and launch a satellite on their own.
To keep that from occurring, the White House ordered the Army to fill the final stage with sand instead of fuel when the rocket was first tested in September 1956. Still, the Army did not give up hope. Spare rockets were placed in controlled storage, ready to be rolled out at a moment's notice.
General Medeiros even risked a court-martial by putting some of his people to work, spending money on preparing a Jupiter C in hopes that the word would come down sooner or later from Washington.
By now, the Army's proposal had the support of the physicist responsible for the science payload to be launched. James Van Allen's review of the Vanguard revealed serious development problems. To hedge his bets, he designed his payload to fit on either Vanguard or Jupiter. Bill Pickering at JPL played his cards differently. Though JPL was part of the Army proposal, he also chaired the science committee charged with satellite tracking. One way or another, JPL would be a player when a U.S. satellite went up. But for good measure, JPL engineers had on standby an unauthorized but pre-existing satellite casing, just in case.
Well, we knew we were bootlegging it, very definitely, but we had, being a research organization, we had carte blanche to do anything we wanted to do. We went ahead and built one and had it ready to go.
We bootlegged the whole job, another JPLer later confessed. We locked up the satellite in a cabinet so it wouldn't be found.
It's one of those dates when the world changed, and it's a date where people remember where they were. Certainly, I'm sure Bill Pickering always remembered where he was that night. He was at the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C., of all the coincidences. A New York Times reporter bustled into the room and said that the Soviets had just launched a satellite. There were cheers, there were congratulations, rounds of vodka, of course, as the Soviet success was toasted.
There's a lot of discussion about it, and eventually they end up on the roof of the Soviet embassy looking to see if they can see anything.
The NBC guy came, I think it was at 9 o'clock, and he said, "Listen now for the sound that will evermore separate the old from the new." Now that's the beginning of the space age. Mankind is now in a new era. And all that stuff that weekend was just this absolute sense of awe.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. 500 miles up, the artificial moon is boosted to a speed counterbalancing the pull of gravity and released. You are hearing the actual signals transmitted by the Earth-circling satellite, one of the great scientific feats of the age.
That sort of shook us all pretty much. I mean, I can remember going out in the parking lot in back of one of the buildings over here in the early evening, and we could see the doggone thing flying overhead, and that was really quite an experience to know that those, the Russians had done it and we hadn't.
Родился новый спутник.
We were very disappointed when the first one was launched because we knew darn well that the Vanguard was in trouble, and we knew darn well that we could launch a satellite anytime we were told to.
And then the political reaction began.
President Eisenhower reassures the nation that Russia's success with the first satellite does not indicate a serious lag in American rocket research.
Vanguard, for the reasons indicated, has not had equal priority with that accorded our ballistic missile work.
Eisenhower is very calm about this, and in some level he was working with information that he could not share with others. In the latter part of October, and especially in the first part of November after Sputnik 2, everybody's afraid. They're running around with their hair on fire.
Sputniks and Mudniks flying through the air. Sputniks and Mudniks flying everywhere. They're so ironic. Are they atomic? Those funny missiles have got me scared.
Eisenhower's call for calm was swept away when the Soviets struck again, this time by launching Sputnik 2, an 1,100-pound satellite carrying the first living creature to reach orbit.
The strangest looking objects I ever saw from space, with a dog inside that got to ride into the USA to see our hound dog or American groundhog. That Russian canine can't stand the pace. Sputniks and Mudniks flying through the air. Sputniks and Mudniks flying everywhere. They're so ironic. Are they atomic? Those funny missiles have got me scared.
2 days after the launch of Sputnik 2 in November 1957, the New York Times reported that scientists around the world were worried that the Soviets might be readying to explode a hydrogen bomb on the moon, a firework display to mark the 40th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. As strange as the idea sounds, Pickering's JPL team was thinking along the same lines at the same time.
After Sputnik, there was a sense that the United States needed to do something dramatic in response. And so a number of schemes were floated. One of those which probably seems the most bizarre in retrospect was Project Red Sox, which would have involved sending a missile to the moon with an atomic bomb, which could have been exploded there. It certainly would have been dramatic. It would have created a lot of attention. It probably would have also created an international firestorm of reaction, completely inconsistent with the idea that the Eisenhower administration had advanced of a peaceful approach to space exploration.
Eisenhower's reaction to the Red Sox scheme was to declare, "We have no enemies on the moon." Meanwhile, his ratings in the polls plunged 22 points.
I consider our country's satellite program to be well designed and properly scheduled to achieve the scientific purposes for which it was initiated. We are, therefore, carrying the program forward in keeping with our arrangements with the international scientific community.
Eisenhower finally came to understand that the only way to tranquilize the nation was to give the American people a satellite.
Under enormous pressure, the White House decided that a planned test flight of the Vanguard rocket with its small science payload was to be transformed into the American response to Sputnik.
America's first attempt to launch a satellite, a 6.5-inch sphere weighing just over 3 pounds, was checked out by scientists and declared ready. A great wave of advanced publicity focused attention at Cape Canaveral, Florida, for the launching of Test Vehicle 3 of Project Vanguard, a preliminary to the scheduled launching of a 21-pound satellite in March. What happened is already unhappy history. Another setback for the United States in the race into outer space. Here are official Defense Department films of the launching of the 72-foot missile, a loss of thrust, and fall back to Earth in split seconds. declassified. Neither the satellite program nor our missile development is affected, said Acting Defense Secretary Quarles. It's only an incident in the perfection of the Vanguard satellite system.
The whole world goes nuts. I mean, flop Nick and excuse Nick, and there's just all these mocking headlines. And the next morning, in the New York Stock Exchange closes. There's such fear in the United States that we have just had this colossal explosion. We brought every reporter in, and there's this huge failure. And it's just it's all on. It's the first big thing on television. And there's screams, "Oh my God!" It's exploding. And the next day, the Russians go to the United Nations and offer us technological aid as a backward country. They actually offered to help us out and they loved that. They loved tweaking us at that point.
To have the communists lead in technology, to pioneer a new frontier of infinite size, in a sense, to capture the future, the symbolism was horrifying. What did this mean? That the future belongs to communism? That if we Americans are going to, leapfrog the Soviets and get back on top, we're going to have to become more like them?
With Vanguard in shambles, Eisenhower relented. Medeiros, von Braun, and Pickering were finally given what they wanted, their chance to reach orbit. The importance placed on finally being given an official go-ahead to launch a satellite can be found in films made about Explorer.
An official television report of the United States Army, produced for the armed forces and the American people.
Among the moments memorialized in reenactment was word to proceed with the launch attempt.
A sudden meeting has been called by General John B. Medeiros, Commanding General of the Army Ballistic Missile Agency.
Good morning, gentlemen. Be seated, please. I have a very important announcement for you. We've been assigned the mission of launching a scientific Earth satellite. And we will use the Jupiter-C configuration as a carrier that we developed along with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
When you talk about this recreation of the decision point to move forward with Explorer, it's that they are very clearly given formal orders to accomplish the task. They'd been wanting to do it all along and had been stopped at every turn. And so here they have, and it's very important to them, an order to go do it.
Not to be outdone, JPL created its own version of the launch go-ahead, this one in color.
The Secretary of Defense announced this morning that the Army is to participate in the International Geophysical Year satellite program.
Both films stressed the deadline of 90 days, but no mention was made of the unauthorized preparations that had already taken place. And so was born the legend that the response to Sputnik had taken less than 90 days from start to launch.
The Army is requesting the jet propulsion.
I promised the Secretary of the Army that we would be ready in 90 days or less. Let's go, Werner.
This is what they've been waiting for. The deadline is 90 days. 90 days to put a satellite into orbit. A crash program, an emergency. Put a satellite into orbit within 90 days.
Von Braun and Medeiros pulled their Jupiter-C out of storage. JPL was ready with the upper stages, a cluster arrangement of miniaturized Sargent missiles. JPL was also responsible for communications, transmitting data from the satellite and capturing it on the ground.
Both transmitters operate continuously throughout the orbit, and each will carry 4 simultaneous channels of telemetering.
Besides telemetry, Henry Richter had another assignment, installing the science payload onto the satellite. The primary instrument, a cosmic ray detector, belonged to James Van Allen of the University of Iowa. JPL needed his permission to load the instrument on board, but he was nowhere to be found.
Van Allen was unavailable at that time to get permission. he was on an icebreaker down in the South Pacific launching balloons. And Dr. Pickering tried for a day through Navy communication channels to get in touch with him without luck. So he went to Western Union and got a telegram back in 3 hours. So tells you something about military communications.
In the midst of this scramble, another problem cropped up. Unbeknownst to JPL, von Braun was working on his own satellite.
General Medeiros, the commander of the program, is sort of betwixt and between. He has two powerful, brilliant scientists, or at least one scientist, one engineer, von Braun and Pickering, at loggerheads. And in a dramatic gesture, which illustrated beautifully Medeiros's leadership qualities, he took Pickering aside and just quietly talked to him while von Braun cooled his heels and had to wait. And they had a conversation, the Army general and the Caltech scientist, and then returned. Whereupon General Medeiros informed Dr. von Braun that Dr. Pickering and JPL would be providing the satellite. Von Braun was not pleased, but he knew how to take orders. And the result of that decision by Medeiros was that the Jet Propulsion Laboratory got into the spacecraft business.
When Medeiros said yes to Pickering, he set in motion the future for JPL. It was the direction Pickering had envisioned for some time, turning away from weapon systems to building spacecraft that would explore the heavens.
Minutes click past relentlessly. The beams of powerful searchlights light up the missile. Truly the star of one of the greatest suspense dramas of our time. The drama approaches the final act, the Army's first attempt to fire a man-made moon into orbit. Time, late evening, Friday, January 31st, 1958, in a blockhouse at Canaveral. The countdown to Explorer 1.
Roger. Okay, we'll start now. Finished fuel loading.
Given the debacle of Vanguard, Washington was intensely involved in how this new launch attempt would be portrayed. Medeiros believed the White House was intentionally de-emphasizing the Army's role in its dictation of every aspect of the publicity plan. The general was to be at the Cape to oversee the launch. Pickering, Van Allen, and von Braun were assigned to the Pentagon. If the satellite reached orbit, the three men in Washington would announce the news at the National Academy of Sciences. In keeping with Eisenhower's desire to portray America's satellite as civilian in nature as possible.
Roger, 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire command. Fire command.
So we got a report from the Cape that the launch looks pretty good, and it should fly over California at such and such a time. And so the decision was made that we would make no public announcements about the rocket until it had actually been picked up in California. And so we sat there for an hour and a half. The time came and went, and there was a period of 8 minutes there, which were the longest 8 minutes I ever spent in my life.
What happened was that the jet stream had boosted it into a higher orbit than had been predicted, and so it took a little longer to begin to get the signal, and so everyone is extremely tense during this time, because now the Vanguard program has had its failures. JPL and Huntsville are now carrying the flag, so to speak, and it's not clear. It's not clear for sure if this is going to work or not.
More agonizing minutes went by, but finally JPL received the signal that the satellite was in orbit. The United States had a success, but not an official name for the satellite. The card-playing JPLers had unofficially called the project Deal. Highball was Medeiros' choice. The Pentagon rejected the gambling and liquor illusions in favor of a more lofty concept: Explorer. Eisenhower, on a golfing trip at the time, was awakened from his sleep and told the news. "Let's not make too big of a hullabaloo over this," he cautioned, and went back to sleep. No one took the president's advice.
We were told that there was going to be a press conference over at the National Academy of Sciences on the other side of the river. So off we went, and I remember sitting in that car with the three of us in the back seat. It was sort of a cold, rainy January night in Washington, and I remember a conversation going along, I wonder whether anybody's going to be out here, because it's now about 2 o'clock in the morning, you see.
In Washington, at the National Academy of Science, a packed auditorium of reporters, radio...
Von Braun, Van Allen, and Pickering are there to lift the satellite aloft. It is interesting that the Army isn't there in that picture. And that's an indicator, in a sense, of what's to come.
The question is, has any form of life been placed in the satellite? I think I could answer that one almost myself. Not intentionally.
Maybe we have a Florida cockroach inside, we don't know.
The Explorer launch brings us back to a measure of parity with the Soviets. It's not complete, but at least we have now demonstrated that we can put something into orbit as well. The success of Explorer and what we learned from it really does kind of recreate in the most fundamental way the nature of the Jet Propulsion Lab, and moving it from a rocket development center to one in which space science becomes what it really does. It really put JPL on the map scientifically.
The day following the launch of Explorer, newspaper headlines across the country gave testimony to a relieved and grateful nation. Back in Pasadena, there was a modest celebration in the laboratory's cafeteria. Later, Vice President Nixon would pay a visit to the lab for a photo op with the satellite. In a way, Explorer 1 was beginner's luck for JPL. Explorer 2 fell short of reaching orbit when the JPL-supplied fourth stage failed to ignite. Explorers 3 and 4 were successful, but as if to give warning to how difficult exploring the new frontier of space would be, the fifth and final Explorer also failed to reach orbit. But the 3 successful explorers would give the world the first space science discovery: the presence of highly charged particles that surround the Earth.
I mean, it tells us so much about the Earth and why the Earth is the way it is, the fact that there's life here for that matter. Because of these belts, we are able to survive. It has dominated the way in which we pursued our science since that time. There is, I think, no way to underestimate the value and significance of that discovery.
These belts were named after their discoverer, James Van Allen. In contrast, Vanguard never recovered from its setback on the national stage. But on its third attempt, Vanguard placed America's second satellite into orbit. Unlike Sputnik or Explorer 1, Vanguard still circles the Earth to this day. It is the oldest human-made object in space. It would take years for the nation to appreciate Eisenhower's calm leadership in the opening of the space age. Though he suffered politically for the United States being second, Sputnik established what Eisenhower wanted most: the right to orbit above any territory on the globe. The reconnaissance satellites that would later fly helped to contain Cold War tensions. Another Eisenhower legacy was to establish, just months after the launch of Explorer, a civilian space agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. The Army lost to this new agency von Braun's team and JPL. Wounded but still proud, the Army held a glittering affair in Washington on the first anniversary of the launch of Explorer 1. There were speeches, standing ovations, and toasts. But beneath the surface, there was unhappiness. The loss of JPL and von Braun's team was a bitter blow for Medeiros' ambitions for the Army. He retired and became an Episcopalian priest. Von Braun was equally distraught. He had first declared that he wanted nothing to do with the new space agency. He changed his mind when he recognized the opportunity to build the rocket that would take astronauts to the moon. Pickering's reaction was different. For the first time, JPL was in the national spotlight, and Pickering got what he wanted most: the chance to explore the solar system. It was the dream that had inspired JPL from its very beginnings. Under Pickering's leadership, JPL would first help take America to the moon, then open the pathway to the planets and beyond.
There were detours. The military applications with missiles and the like took JPL in a different course for a while. But with Explorer 1, JPL is actually heading in that direction that some of its earliest enthusiasts had imagined. And so by the late 50s, now with Explorer 1 and subsequent projects, you can see JPL finally reaching for the very things that had excited some of the very earliest proponents of rocketry.
Satellite, baby, come on back down to Earth. Satellite, baby, come on back down to Earth. Radioactive daddy's found out what you are worth. Nuclear, baby, you don't vision out on me. Nuclear, baby, you don't vision out on me. Geiger counter data loves your atomic energy. Yes, we're gonna rock it, rocket around that moon tonight. Rocket to our heart's delight. Rocket created by the bright moonlight until the Earth is out of sight. We're gonna rock it, Daddy's favorite
Not bad, huh? I love showing that documentary. That's a good one, man. This should be your intro song. I don't know, maybe. So it was the jet stream that caused Explorer 1 to get overboosted. Yeah, them upper level winds do be like that, man. What did they use back then for power on that thing? Batteries? Batteries? Yeah. I think that song was in a Fallout 4 radio mod. That's a good song. Anyway, so at a high level, what does JPL do differently than Houston and Cape Canaveral? JPL is Okay. Cape Canaveral, so that's Kennedy Space Center, launching people into space. Johnson Space Center, astronaut training, and overseeing the said missions in space. JPL is unmanned probes to the solar system. JPL's primary job is to explore the solar system. So, like, they have that. They have the Deep Space Network. So, all the deep space infrastructure, that's all JPL. Like, deep space communication systems. So, Curiosity, Perseverance, Ingenuity, Spirit and Opportunity, when they were around, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, Maven, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. That's what they do. They do uncrewed exploration. Uncrewed exploration. Any NASA deep space missions that aren't JPL? No. James Webb? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's all JPL, guys. What about Huntsville? Huntsville is the home of Marshall Space Flight Center. Marshall Space Flight Center does dynamic testing. Dynamic rocketry testing. That's really what it's for. So they use Marshall to blow up, like, propulsion tanks and stuff. Dynamic test stands, vibration test stands, sometimes test firings. New Horizons is APL, and so is Dragonfly. Well, there you go. Each NASA center has its own kind of specialty. So, like, we went over Kennedy Space Center, Johnson Space Center, Marshall Space Flight Center. Stennis is engine testing. Stennis Space Center, that's engine testing. There's Michoud, which is manufacturing, rocket manufacturing. Super heavy lift rocket manufacturing. So Saturn V parts are made there. Space Shuttle external tanks are made there. Core stages are made there. So Michoud assembly is kind of its own thing. But yeah, then there's Goddard. Goddard is in Maryland. Goddard does, like, sounding rocket research, and that's what Mid-Atlantic Regional is for. That's what Wallops is for. Wallops is kind of an extension of NASA Goddard. And then there's NASA Glenn. NASA Glenn does vacuum testing research in Ohio. That's near Wright-Patterson. It's in Plumbrook, Ohio. They have gigantic vacuum testing chambers for, like, testing entire capsules. Any spacecraft that you want to test in the vacuum of space, they have a vacuum chamber that's, I don't know. They have a vacuum chamber, I don't know, I would say it's the size of the mid-bay at Boca Chica, something like that. Yeah, it's freaking big. Yeah, the mid-bay, not the high bay or the wide bay, the mid-bay. Like, think like the size of SN5 or SN6, if you're talking Starship stuff. It's about that big. Yeah, you could fit a whole Dragon capsule inside of it. And then there's NASA Ames. NASA Ames is in San Francisco. Ames does advanced flight research. So, like, wind tunnels, stuff like that. Advanced aerodynamic testing. And then Ames also does advanced robotics. But they do a multitude of projects. They do a bunch of different things. And then there's NASA Armstrong. NASA Armstrong is at Edwards Air Force Base. NASA Armstrong does in-the-air flight research. Like, they're working on... NASA Armstrong is working on the X-59 and the... the X-57? You could show this for vacuum testing. Yeah, it's a big vacuum chamber. You just got me wondering, how are we going to vacuum-proof... How are we going to vacuum-proof the Lunar Starship? Honestly, the habitable section blue could probably fit in the vacuum chambers. Here, I'll show you. Thomas actually linked up pretty much what I wanted to show you guys. So Blue Origin tested New Glenn's fairing there the other day. Not the other day. This was, well, yeah, actually, it wasn't too long ago. I covered this on Space News here, but I'll show you. That's the vacuum chamber. Like I said, when I said it's the size of the mid-bay, I meant it. It's freaking gigantic. So,
took the fairing.
New Glen's fairing is 7 meters in diameter. That's a 7-meter fairing right there. I mean, Blue, you think they'll hack it off? I don't know, maybe. I would want to test integrated, so they might just test the whole thing right here. But the thing is how are you going to get a whole Starship up to Ohio? NASA Glenn's Armstrong Test Facility in Sandusky. Yep, see? Look at, that's a vacuum chamber. That's a big vacuum chamber. I mean, the door right there should tell you how big it is. I always look for the doors. I mean, that vacuum chamber, like I said, about the size of the mid-bay at Boca Chica. It's huge. Yeah, every NASA... So they purposely, when they expanded NASA like crazy throughout the Apollo program, guys, they purposefully spread everything out. They spread all the test facilities for the Saturn V and the Saturn I and Little Joe. They spread them everywhere. All over the place. So Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, California, even the Draper Laboratory, so my state. There's no NASA facility here, but there kind of is, but there kind of isn't. It's like how JPL isn't a NASA facility. JPL is operated by the California Institute of Technology, or it's Caltech, right? So Draper, on the other side, up here where I'm from, is operated by MIT, but it is a government facility. It's NASA. Draper worked on the guidance systems, the Apollo guidance computer. The computing. They worked on all the avionics. That's Massachusetts' contribution. That and spaceflight suits, and headsets. David C. Clark headsets, and NASA sourced their spacesuits from 2 different places. They sourced them from I think it was Delaware and Massachusetts. I forget what the other place is. Would you test spacesuits in that? You could, T-Man. I wouldn't. I wouldn't test the spacesuit with somebody in it. My uncle worked there before he retired 10 years ago. I never got to go. So, how are you going to get a whole Starship up to Ohio? Fly it, yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. That's how they got everybody on board the Apollo program. They got everybody on board, and they got everybody to vote for the dang thing, to vote for it to happen, because the president, etc., etc. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. I need to send that out. So, originally built to test nuclear hardware in space. Love that AAP. Yeah. Yeah, they, once again, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. They spread it out all over the place. That's how they got it to happen. And it's something that they still do with NASA nowadays. I mean, SLS is still using a lot of the Apollo infrastructure. So, that's part of the thing that makes, that's part of the thing that makes SLS, hard to get rid of. I mean, personally, I think if the system is going to work for you, if the system's going to work like that, you might as well use it to your advantage, right? Like that, I talk about all that all the time, but you don't need to say it again. New video from Blue. Okay. Fly, Gary. All right. So, let's jump into space news. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's see. What else we got here? Blue Origin's been tweeting a lot about flying. Yeah, let me just transfer all the space news links. Discord is having issues again. Did you ever watch the newest KSP2 video? I did. Not with you. You weren't here. I didn't do it on stream. Alright, so let me compile all these links. I always have to move them between my two computers here. Call an ambulance, but not for me. All right, anyway. Okay, so we have NS20 happening tomorrow. NS20 is officially go for launch from Launch Site 1 tomorrow. Live launch coverage of NS20 begins at 7. Yeah, I remember now. We looked at this last night. That's gonna. Okay. That's 8:30 a.m. You'll be fine. Oh, well, I'll just get up right at 8:30 a.m. then. Yeah, I'll probably be on a little bit before that. Call me when Blue Origin gets to orbit. Don't change the subject. You made a stupid comment. Now own up to it. I own up to it when I make stupid comments. And he's like, oh, for me it is fine. It's all part of the master plan. Master plan. Andy, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Forza Ferrari. I tell you, man. It's the plants. Remember that. All right, so I'll try to be up for it, guys. We'll see what we can do. It is a crew launch, and it is into space tomorrow, which is pretty cool. Here's the timeline of events here. Spinala. No, that's a different Ferrari. Chad, I made a very stupid comment. Oh, now I just feel bad for making you say it. Hibbit, why? Why are you doing this? Stop it. Stop this. You stop this. NS20 is officially go for launch from Launch Site 1 tomorrow. Alright. Yeah, we got a stunning timeline there. I'm not saying you should buy this, but... Oh, no. Why do you... What the frick?
Fourth Axis machining with Bantam Tools is here. We've upgraded our new Bantam Tools desktop CNC milling machine to be Fourth Axis compatible with our new Bantam Tools desktop CNC Fourth Axis accessory. It's a beginner-friendly skill-building add-on that expands the new Bantam Tools desktop CNC milling machine's capabilities. And to help you, your students, and your employees learn the fundamentals of Fourth Axis machining, we've developed our expert-led, hands-on, and self-paced Bantam Tools desktop CNC Fourth Axis course. Grow your knowledge.
Grow your knowledge. You know what I like more than knowledge is the new Lamborghini here. No, how much is this RB? Yeah, it's a lathe. You can make rocket. You can make a rocket with this, dude. If I get a shop, right? If we score a house, RB, and the house doesn't break the bank, which, okay, so we just took the likeliness of this happening and went, but if I can find something for a reasonable price, I'd buy that. Sure, absolutely. Be able to make parts for the cars. I can model anything, you know? It's $5,000. So I got Railroads Online. What have you done to me? Yep. You have a 3-axis wood lathe. Word. So what's the 4th axis? As you say, if you have to ask, it's too much. Yeah. The rotation. Dudes. Yeah. So like, think X, Y, Z, and then rotation as well. 4 axis. You know what I mean? You know, so that thing is really cool. It's a little cool little bench machine. You could use that to make all kinds of parts. It'd be really good for hot rodding, RB. Can it mill? It looks like they're milling PLA there, though. Is that? Yeah, I mean, Facha, the orientation on every CNC machine is different, right? It's just like 3D programs, but yeah. It's designed for aluminum. Pretty sure it could mill steel. Like, I don't see why it wouldn't or couldn't. Yeah, it looks like they were using PLA in the video. $28,000 RPM spindle. Yeah, you can machine aluminum with this, no problem. 28,000 RPM. You could, yeah, I mean, it shows it right there, but yeah, you can, yeah, it'll do it, which is cool. You can do soft aluminum on your X-Carve. Word. Yeah, SVGs. Cool. That thing's really neat. Okay, anyway. So, the next thing here is we got a couple of videos. Not that one. We got this video from Blue here, and this is talking about one of the passengers that's flying tomorrow on 20. On the NS-20 mission. One of them is the designer of New Shepard. So, his name's Gary Lay. Here. He's right there. He's very talkative. Watch.
I'm the chief architect of New Shepard, and I've been working on the program from the very beginning. So I joined Blue Origin in March of 2004 as one of its first 20 employees, and that was actually before the New Shepard program even officially began. In that time, it was just a concept, a little bit more advanced than a napkin sketch, and I helped build the team that would eventually design and put it together. And lift off. When most people look at the New Shepard, they might see the astounding technology. To me, New Shepard is about the wonderful team that I've had the pleasure to work with over 18 years. I'm one of those people, and there are a lot of us at Blue, where opening the road to space for humanity is a calling. As humans, our grandest accomplishments happen because we are explorers by our fundamental nature. There is such a grand space and universe out there with so many resources and so many things to explore. I almost would not know what to do with myself, and I have very few useful skills, I think, that are not related to flying people to space. There's very few jobs, very few professions, and very few places where you have that combination of working on something so important that is at the same time so challenging and so rewarding.
Also, Electron, I'm not sorry.
I can't wait to fly on the New Shepard vehicle. Everyone we talk to that has been to space describe going into space as a life-changing experience. I don't know how I'll feel, actually, on that date. Obviously, it'll be a cause of celebration, but it will also be a period of a lot of self-reflection. This is a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-career opportunity to follow a program from start to finish to such a major goal. So I hope I will feel that it was as meaningful as the amount of time and energy that we put into it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So once again, that launch is at 8:20 in the morning Eastern time tomorrow. So that is 4 hours before my normal start time. So yeah, Gary's a very loud one. It's not very soft spoken, is he? Yeah. Gary, you back there? Oh, there he is. Hey. Hey, you talking? You said too much. Jeez, man. You said too much. You said way too much. Does New Shepard have any kind of environmental control and life support, or do they just rely on the capsule having enough air in the first place? It has life support. Signer. Yeah. Do you know if there are any plans and railroads online to allow you to tie down other players to the train tracks? Okay. Next question. NS-20 will use RSS First Step and Tail 4. Both flew 5 missions already. NS-14, 15, 16, 18, and 19. Cool. That's weird. All right. Okay. So, once again, that launch is tomorrow. Let's see. So this one is coming from, this next news is coming from Chris G over at NASA Spaceflight. Let's see what Chris is up to. Doug Hurley, yes, that Doug, says Northrop Grumman is on track with SRB work to support returning astronauts to the moon in 2020. Oh, okay, yeah, 2026. Each 5-segment SRB will produce... Each 5-segment SRB will produce 3.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff, shuttle-era cases through Artemis 8, and then transition to BOLE boosters with Artemis 9. BOLE boosters will incorporate electric thrust vector control systems, new composite cases instead of steel. Okay. And the first BOLE composite case is wound and is in testing right now. SRBs are fully cast through Artemis 3, and Artemis 4 SRB casing is in work right now. Yeah, you made a typo, dudes. It happens. Interesting that it says 2026. What are you doing? Never mind. You guys hear that? Anyway. I didn't hear anything. Someone's banging on the wall. It's coming from this direction, not that direction. I want to be very clear on that one. Somebody's making a ruckus. Do the SLS SRBs have parachutes? No. Speaking of landings, both Northrop and Lockheed Martin are working on their own landers for HLS, with their future in the national team being unknown right now. So SLS's SRBs, due to infrequency of flight, will not be reused, which is stupid. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for. But it does give NASA an excuse to switch to composite casings. The composite casings can increase SLS's payload capacity. Guys, with the right upgrades, SLS can get to be as powerful as Ares 5. And, well, it's not Ares 5, and had we chosen to just develop Ares 5, we'd have Ares 5 right now. It is a step in the right direction. Big players like Lockheed Martin and Northrop have angles on everything at all times. Bingo. Yeah. Rocket Guy, I got a question for you. Okay. This is an interesting question, and I don't know if you've heard me talk about it, but look, Chris G also says in this that the BOLE boosters will incorporate electric thrust vector control systems, composite cases instead of steel, and that the first BOLE composite case is already wound and in testing. Do you think because Antares is on its way out, that do you think they'll bring Omega to the table? You think there's a contingency plan there? I mean, they already got the BOLE contract, man, so... I mean, as a spaceflight fan, I really want to see that happen, but also, I would understand if they were like, nah, we don't need that. I thought the 5-segment boosters were better boosters. 5 segments are more than 4, so yes, it is in fact a little better, yes. It would be kind of silly not to resurrect Omega. Yeah, interesting. Is it possible to reuse an SRB? Triados, they reused SRBs for 30 years during the shuttle program. Of course it's possible. Yeah. I doubt it. As much as I love Omega, Falcon 9 would be good enough for Cygnus. Last, what's up, Novus? They did an RS-25 test today. We watched it. Yeah, we watched it live. Why would they say they were canceling it? That's my only question. Canceling what, RJ? I mean, Ian, if I was Northrop Grumman, dude, look, I would, or if I was, heck, any defense contractor, you see, oh, okay, hold on. I think it makes so much sense and have been rooting for that forever. It's a natural progression, but it also depends on the requirements of the application. Can they bring it to the table without significantly requalifying for the given application? But I think if the performance are there, it makes too much sense not to. Rocket Guy, that's really where I was. It's really where I was going. Northrop Grumman is on the table to have have heavy launch capability. It's not like all the NSSL contract, all the national security contracts are going to go to SpaceX and ULA. NSSL Phase 2 was for a majority of the contracts, but there will still be other contracts. Also, I'm looking at if I'm Northrop Grumman, Charles Precourt or Doug Hurley, those guys work over at Northrop Grumman. Charles Precourt's a former shuttle astronaut, and Doug Hurley needs no introduction nowadays. If I was those guys, I would seriously look into it. I look at the presidential budget request. Look at how many missions there are for CLPS, lunar payload services to the moon. Omega can do that. Omega can easily do that. We're talking about 3 or 4 We're talking about 3 or 4 missions per year for commercial lunar payload services through 2035. Look, if NASA's going to fork that bill over, why would you not do that? Also, gateway resupply, lunar lander resupply. Omega in its heavy configuration can absolutely do that, and you already developed the booster. I think, dude, Rocky Guy, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think they're going to do it, especially with Antares. Antares gave them a reason. Why would they say they were canceling it? Omega? They canceled it because they didn't get a contract to develop it. The only other thing to consider is, I think for something like Omega, is it will be a big expense due to the required infrastructure. Omega losing the contract, they lost that infrastructure development. As you know, infrastructure is often the biggest headache. Buy another shuttle mobile launcher. Buy another shuttle ML. There's another one already made. This was their statement on Cygnus after NG-19. Let me take a look. Northrop Grumman saying they won't say anything more regarding supply missions and switching Cygnus to another launcher at this time. Not even when they internally need to make the decision ahead of the NG-20 mission. Even if they don't announce it immediately, we will have more later. Why go with the shuttle launcher when you can rework the Antares pad, considering that Antares is gone after NG-19? Reworking Antares pad for Omega? I would... Thomas, I know a lot about GSE. I'd like to think that I know more than the average person about ground service equipment for rockets. And even then, I'm still scratching the surface. If I was presented with redoing Pad 0A for Omega at Wallops, or buying a shuttle mobile launcher and using 39B, I would do 39B. No. You'd have to redo the entire pad. There's no way. There's no way you could retool that for Omega. No way. Not a chance. Can pistons be made from aluminum? If so, then, the working volume of the CNC is 7 by 9 by 3.5. Yeah, of course they can, RB. A lot of pistons are made out of aluminum. Surely 39 is going to get crowded at this rate. That's what NASA wants, Kentab. Look, SLS is... You get crew launches on SLS once a year. That leaves 8 more months. Why? 4 months just to be sure. Nominal leeway window for a mission. You got 8 months to do other missions. Yeah, RB, what's really going to blow your mind is how does an aluminum piston stay cool? Surely the explosion is enough to melt it. How does an aluminum piston stay cool? This is where having 39A free would be nice. I said it once, I'll say it again. Look, I'm super happy that SpaceX got 39A and we get to see crew launch from 39A again. But also, I think that was an incredibly short-sighted thing from NASA. NASA's, like, incessant need to make 39A, or Complex 39, a multi-user spaceport is really going to hamper them in the long run. Said it when it happened. Haven't heard from Blue Origin. Are they okay? They're literally launching people into space tomorrow, Raven Guard. Yeah, tomorrow at 8. Yeah, of course they're fine. Don't they squirt oil at the pistons to keep them cool? Something like that. With the regarding aluminum pistons, the explosion is extremely hot, but it's only for a second. It's really, really hot, and it's only for a second, and then the volume of the combustion chamber as the piston goes down expands greatly, and it actually cools it really, really fast. Yeah, true story. See last. Okay. But I don't see it being worth the extreme cost. They would need to restart the mobile launcher from scratch, outfit High Bay 2. Nope. Outfit High Bay 2 is no. They don't need to do that. They were going to build the gantries right into the mobile launcher, Ian. Yeah. I don't know if you knew that. And then finish vehicle design and testing. You already have the boosters made. I wouldn't see it flying before 2025, and they need a vehicle next summer or so. I think they're going to go with Falcon or Vulcan. Yeah. I guess. You just going to go with that for the rest of the Cygnus program? Thought. No special people on Blue Origin, by the way. The guy that designed the rocket is flying on it, Podwe. What are you talking about? You guys just like saying stuff? Just shot in the dark. Whatever. The Falcon is already proven. Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. My inner space fan wants that. But, yeah, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I think it's a smart decision. I think Northrop Grumman would be wise to retain their low Earth orbit access capability, in-house low Earth orbit access, and they can't really do that anymore. Watching with all the boys, love from North Sentinel Island. Right on, Jazza. Where's that at? What? North Sentinel Island. Damn, dude. That's okay. All right, right on. How do you have internet, Jazza? Holy crap. Cool. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. It's probably one of the furthest destinations that I think anyone has ever watched this stream from, away from stream proper. That's cool, man. Cool. All right. Oh yeah. Nice, Sinard. Nice. He's lying. It's illegal to visit there. I was gonna say that's like, how do you have internet? But anyway. All right, let me see. What else do we got? So here's a little, ow. Okay. Retro music. So Lockheed Martin threw this up on their Twitter account today. Check this out. Anybody know what that is? Don't say an aluminum tube. I mean, you can say aluminum tube, but also. Interesting, Thomas, yeah. Rusty tube? Aluminum doesn't rust. Funky. Freaking sweet, dude. That's a Hubbly boy. Yep. Interesting how it's missing the bottom half. Why is it missing the bottom half? No, don't worry about it. That's cool. A little bit of a detour there. So, okay, I got two more things here for you. You know, I wonder, does NASA still have those spare keyhole satellites, or have they turned those into space telescopes yet? The Nancy Roman mission. Yeah. Curious how you don't see many images from the Hubble assembly. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, yeah. Did you get the Hubble news? Nope. I haven't. Was that Hubble? It was, yeah. In an extremely unfinished state, but yes. Okay, anyway, so, check this out. Mark Van High, Anton Skaplerov, and Peter Dubrov came back on their Soyuz this morning. And they landed in Kazakhstan, and Mark is currently on his way back. Touchdown at 7:28 Eastern Time after 355 days in space for Mark Van High of NASA, Peter Dubrov of Roscosmos, and 176 days in space for Anton Skaplerov of Roscosmos. The crew has landed in their Soyuz MS-19 spacecraft. So Mark made it. 355 days, pretty much a year in space for him. Pretty cool. Yeah, Soyuz is spacious. Is that a GoPro? Yeah, it's a GoPro. Okay. Yeah, it's not the worst. He's not the worst. What question is, what does a year in space do to the human body? Why do you think they kept him up there for so long? They're gonna figure it out. Okay. They landed, and believe it or not, Roscosmos made no mention of current events, except space current events. So I'm pretty dang sure ISS operations are pretty much going to be largely unaffected, with the exception of non-mixed crew. I don't think you're going to see Americans fly on Soyuz, and I don't think you're going to see Russians fly on Dragon or Starliner. But hey, it's not the worst thing to happen. I mean, it could be way worse. Is that an indication of wanting to continue partnership? I would certainly think so. Sile, yeah. I think they should mix crews still, but I don't think an engineering decision is what's denoting that. So it is what it is. Yeah, it's good to see some classiness from them over there. That's kind of nice. I appreciate it, really do. So yeah, I don't think the ISS is going anywhere, which is good. That's the good news here. You know, people always, you know, some of the question that I've been asked a lot in the last month is, you know, what's going to happen to the ISS? What's going to happen to the ISS? Nothing. As long as Dimitri doesn't tweet, it's fine for me. Dimitri Rogozin isn't Roscosmos, Andy. He just runs it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Still kind of been a little bit of a wiener on Twitch lately. Not on Twitch, that's me. On Twitter lately, but yeah, if he streamed, that would be really funny. That chat would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? But hey, whatever. Hey, I mean, if the ISS wants to keep going, I don't have a problem with it. We'll keep going, and hopefully cooler heads prevail, which is what I basically said when this whole thing started. Just, I hope cooler heads prevail. Don't do something stupid in space, because someone will get hurt. So cooler heads did prevail, despite all the rhetoric, which is very nice. It's very nice to hear. Any more updates about Rogozin's March 31st deadline and sanctions? I don't think anything is going to happen, Sile, but who knows? I don't know. It would be funnier if he actually lurked here. I don't know. I don't know, Jim. I mean, like, you know what? If he did, I probably wouldn't ban him. I would probably just let, you know, like, okay. I get people in here that give me crap about things all the time. It happens like once a day. You know what I do? You know what? I just let them talk. If they don't break any rules, I just let them talk. You guys have no problem sicking somebody that, like, you don't need, dude, I don't even need to say anything. I just keep going. So this chat either A, completely ignores them because they know, everyone here knows that they're full of crap, or they say, all right, go away, and then that's the end of it. How many more Cygnus flights are left? At least 6, Bagel. Yeah, you guys are actually really good at it. There was a guy when we were watching the JPL documentary that was trying to troll in chat, and I watched it. I watched the whole damn thing. Everybody just ignored him. Everybody just ignored him. Everybody's just like, man, this documentary's sick, and this one guy's like, they're lying to you, and just nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing. Everybody just kept watching the documentary, which is cool. There were no mods, no nothing. So they just won another 12 the other day. Why did I say 6 then? Was it 6 more or at least 6? I don't know. Either way, 12 is good. I mean, Ian, the way I see it, man, like that 12 missions is... I mean, let's be real. They're probably going to try to do go with Vulcan or Falcon 9, but 12 missions is almost enough to subsidize the rest of Omega's development. That's close. It has to be close. Yeah, RJ, you too busy listening. I didn't even notice. I noticed the same thing and appreciated our collective ability not to engage. Yeah, no one did. No one took the bait. I appreciate that. So, yeah, if he did watch the stream, I wouldn't ban him. No, you can talk all you want, as long as you don't break any rules. And that, dude, I literally have a rule about this, and I have a rule about trolling regarding said rules. It is down there in the rules. Like, if you're gonna troll, be freaking good at it. No obvious stuff. But if somebody disagrees or there's dissenting opinion, I let them talk. I've been doing that for years. I give them the rope. Here you go. You do it. You want to make yourself look stupid? There you go. I wouldn't think NASA would like them sticking on Falcon 9 or Vulcan, considering Dragon and Dream Chaser. I mean, Thomas, doesn't the CRS programs, doesn't Cygnus pay them for the launch vehicle too? I do that a regular basis, Kappa. You spell do good regular basis too, RB. Anyway, I don't know. Well, I'd have to go look at the structure of that contract, you know? Sometimes it do be like that. Sequels. Sometimes it do be like it is. They don't think it be like it is, but it do. Anyway, let's see. What else do we got? So, on the 6th, we have the Axiom 1 mission. With 1 week left until launch, the AX-1 crew is in quarantine in Florida as they finalize preparations for the time they'll spend working and living aboard the space station as the first all-private crew. First commercial mission to the space station. Pretty freaking cool. Did you finally watch the Model A vid? That thing didn't quit, huh, Buck? It's kind of crazy. But I would imagine NASA gets more lax in the coming years, as there will be 3 CRS providers and now HTV X2. I guess, Ian, I suppose, but also at the same time, like, you're going to have more people on the ISS. You're going to need to supply more. And because you have more people on the ISS, I mean, look at how many people have been on the ISS since Dragon flew. Guys, before the ISS, it was like 6 people maximum. Now 6 is the minimum, you know? Before Mark, Peter, and Anton left this morning, there was, 10 people on the ISS? And now there's 7. There's Crew 4, or Crew 3, and MS-21. Or is it MS-22? I forget. So you're going to get more people on the station. More people on the station means more bandwidth for science, which means more, I mean, on top of like bringing more food up, you're going to need more resupply vehicles. And I don't think that's the case. But I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I thought you would want more, not less. Yeah, Buck, me too. But yeah, there was a ton of people up there, which is really, really freaking cool. That's really neat. That mission already launched and landed, Liquidator. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I mean, and then when these guys get up there next week, there's going to be Crew 3, these guys, and a group of Russians. Let's see, one of them is Oleg Artemyev, and I forget the other two guys' names. Oleg is a seasoned cosmonaut. He's been up there plenty of times. But that's 11 people up there, and these guys are going to stay there for a little while. That's a lot, dude. That's a lot of stuff being done. A lot of stuff. Pretty cool. And actually, the commander of this mission, Mike Lopez Alegria, that guy he flew into space a lot on the shuttle, man. Oleg Artemyev, Demis Mativ, and Sergei Korsakov. Yeah, there you go. How many beds do they have? Not enough for all these folks. You're gonna have to sleep in the capsule or something. Are the AX-1 crew going to do some science? I'm not sure if they're going to do science. I'm not 100% on that. But, guys, it is, like, how Inspiration 4 was the first all-commercial mission. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of static going on right now. I don't think it should be understated how important this Axiom mission is. This is the first all-commercial mission to fly to the space station. There have been commercial customers going to the space station in the past, but they flew on the shuttle or they flew on Soyuz. This is the first all-commercial mission. So it's doing, like, similar to Inspiration 4. This is the first all-commercial mission to the space station and back with a Dragon capsule. That's a big deal. This is, like, legitimately all commercial. This is all privately owned and operated by Axiom. Well, the spacecraft isn't, but you get the idea. One, are the AX crew going to do some science? Two, how long is their stay? I'm not 100% sure how long they're going to be up there, Swishio. I don't think it's a long duration stay. It's maybe a week. I'm guessing a week. That is a guess. I don't know off the top of my head. Here, let's figure it. We can figure that information out right now. Ready? Boop. The AX-1 mission crew members of the first of the new class of pioneers. AX-1 will conduct the AX-1 crew will conduct extensive research and STEM outreach. I like those words. Their efforts will align with how each philanthropist carries out work at home in service to all Earth and all who follow beyond it. Okay, so they are going to do something. They're going to do some science out there. Follow the mission. I'm going to guess it's a short duration stay. So, like a week, week and a half, something like that. But it's still really cool. That's still awesome. This is a big deal. Axiom in the future is actually going to add modules to the space station, guys. Here, Axiom Space Station. Axiom Space will, and they're being paid by NASA to do this, will add modules to the ISS. They're going to add Hub 1 I think in 2024. And guys, this isn't like some pipe dream. They're making it. Assemble the station. Yeah, see? Okay, I missed the part where you build the station. They're going to add all these modules to the ISS. And then when the ISS gets decommissioned, they're going to break them off. And this will be its own space station, which is actually really cool. I hope that the major media picks up on what they're doing. Yeah, me too. Wednesday, April 6th and ends April 16th. Okay, 10 days up. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. Yeah, so it's going to be there, but Axiom is actually it's going to be up there for about a week, give or take, a week and a half. Axiom will add modules to the space station, which is actually really, really freaking cool. The glass room, yeah, they're building it right now, Gaffling. Their website is kind of hard to navigate, to say the least. Create the future. Assemble the station. Begin your breakthrough. I don't know. Yeah, we saw these window panes being made the other day. Made with squared space for sure. Yeah. What is the Blue Origin station called? Orbital Reef. Anyway. Actual glass or plastic? Yes. No, they'll probably have an outer ballistic layer and then glass behind it. Or that, I mean, that's how the ISS does it, but they have protective covers too. I think actually, I don't know if the ISS has perspex. I think they have like 3 layers of glass or something. Anyway. Yeah, they're building the modules to add to the ISS. The ISS is going to get bigger soon. Still more stuff to add, which is cool. I just hope that Starship is flying in time, flying reliably in time enough for NASA to plan a mission to deorbit the ISS modules. I think that would be really cool. All right. Anyway, Starship updates. So, Nick and Sweeney took a picture of this coming into Boca Chica this morning. It's my boat. The memes. The memes are crossing. The memes. Help. That's my boat. Is that a sandblaster cleaner box? No. It's a CNC machine. That's a Haas CNC machine. That's what Haas does for the people that don't know Formula One. For people that only know Haas from Formula One. Gene Haas makes machining. He makes automation machines, so CNC machines. My wife, my boat. Yeah, there's 2 of them. Actually, I'm not sure what this one is over here. These are for making parts. Haas is also part owner of a NASCAR team. It looks like the computer from Stationeers. It does, right? It looks expensive. Haas is actually one of the least expensive in the business, Phone Sister. Stop! I'm like, yeah, RB, screw that other thing. Let's get one of those. Where do we get one of these? And yes, I know it's more expensive, but also, this thing could make that. Could make that little guy. Those cylinders at the top are for different bits. Mm-hmm. Yep. I thought that was cool. Also, my boat. Is that the last season's car? Papa, that was good, man. Oh, that's absolutely savage. Well done. Well done. That was funny. Hey, this year, though, we... Yo, look, ready? Last year, this year. Yeah? 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 Last year, this year. Yeah. Yeah. I want the boat, thank you. It's the same picture. What? No. Oh, boy. Okay, so, yeah, no. SpaceX bought some Haas VM6 CNC machines, which is cool. Old and busted, new hotness. All right, let me go look at the Starship updates. How far are we behind? Okay, this one. All right, so this is the footage. This footage is coming from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. 1 to 2 full-time photographers down there. Nick and Sweeney took this picture here, or took this footage here today. So yeah, let's peep it. See what we got. That's my boat. Used VM6s go for 85 to 100K. You know what, Bill? If I was machining stuff, dude, like, you know, 85 to 100K, like, I get it. That's a lot of money. But if we were in some kind of, like, if you, like, ran an auto shop or something, right? Like, or like a fabrication shop or something, that's actually really not too bad, man. That ain't bad at all. Haas VM6 CNC mill, 99,900. That's, and someone has to learn how to program it. All right, whatever. That's really not. It's really not too bad. What I'm saying is, yeah, but that doesn't include the materials. You're gonna rack up more bills on aluminum and steel, methinks. Can the thing machine itself? Yeah, the real question is, can you make another CNC machine with it? It's just like, you know, one of the first questions I had when I bought a 3D printer was, can I 3D print a 3D printer? It can't. Checkmate. Okay, there's 7 right there. Doesn't have any grid fins installed just yet. Why can't you? The 3D printer is made out of aluminum and a stereolithography printer, so an STL printer that prints PETG or PLA plus or ABS will not print metal. Now a laser sintered aluminum? Cool, I'm calling him that from now on. A laser sintered aluminum printer? That could do it. Those are expensive though. Yeah. Rollout of Booster 7 is set for net 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Word. Illuminer! Give him the Bridenstiner! Look at how thick those tiles are. I just noticed that. Fellas, you want to know how hot these wings are going to get? This area right here, you want to know how hot it's going to get? Look at how thick the tiles are on the skin of the vehicle, and look at how thick the tile is on the air surface. See the difference? Yeah, this area is going to get pretty damn hot. Like Hansel hot. NS-20 crew completed all training and are go for launch. Nice, Thomas. Put a little bit of room temperature vulcanization cream up there. Aero surface. So hot right now. Aero surface. Please hold. Never mind. Meh, never mind. Never mind. I saw nothing. I thought I saw something cool. Nope. Can you 3D print SRBs? I wouldn't use PLA to make one, so no. No, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. The PLA wouldn't handle the heat very well. What you'd make is a firework. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we don't want that. The PLA could be the fuel, though. The impulse would be terrible. Terrible. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Doesn't steel become extremely malleable and chip off at temperatures over 1000 C? We could see tiles fall off it as it re-enters the atmosphere. Plasma doesn't melt steel tubes. Wake up, sheeple. What? How do you re-rail? Click on a train, Hillness, and then in the top left corner it'll show you what you clicked on, and then just run over to the tracks and it'll pop up over it. Right click to drop it on the tracks. Every time a new shuttle got built, they changed the design of the TPS based on experience. Yep. That's right, Bill. I mean, Bill, I still think that SpaceX has it right. If you build it out of steel, you don't need as thick of a tile, right? And if you build it out of steel, you don't need as thick of a tile, you'll, despite making your rocket out of a more dense metal, right? Overall, the vehicle will be lighter. I mean, case in point, look at Starship. Starship is as big as the shuttle's external tank. It's as big as a shuttle ET, which is like twice the size of the shuttle. Does it weigh twice as much? Nope. Maybe fully loaded with payload. I mean, the shuttle with a full payload got up to like 80 tons. Starship with a full payload is... It's like what is it, like one... No, actually, I mean, it actually kind of adds up, now that I'm thinking about it. No, I still think it actually, Starship's still more capable per total out of mass, now that I'm thinking about it. Huh, taking the gate down. One boat. I don't know. When Falcon 9 was in development, we could have never imagined Starship super heavy as it is now. What will the next generation of SpaceX vehicles be able to do? I mean, the real question is, Xeon, where the hell do you go from here? Bigger? Guys, crane segment. I honestly think the next place to go is building infrastructure in space. So using Starship to make bigger things in space, I think is probably the way to go. It's either that or relativity has it right with on-orbit manufacturing, but that still means that you need to move the automated machines up into space. But, yeah, I think that that's the way to go. Discontinue it and make an expendable vehicle out of its parts. Bill, if you told somebody after the STS-1 mission flew that that would be the fate of the shuttle, do you think they'd get mad at you? You think they'd get pissed? I mean, yeah, they probably would. You're gonna throw it all away? What? Why? All right, let's see. Next video. You know what they'd probably say? Oh, that would never happen. That would it would be too expensive to throw away shuttle engines like that. Throwaway shuttle engines would be unsustainable. Oh, that's too real. Do you hope to see an expendable Starship one day that is just a massive upper stage? Well, Motorkid, the thing is that Starship is baselined at 100 tons to low Earth orbit, no refueling. Obviously, you can't refuel on the way up. That's ridiculous. And with the on-orbit refueling, yeah, I mean, you send a Starship up with no wings or anything, HLS style, right? And then just send it. Yeah, maybe. That would be something. That's a LOX truck. You can tell it's a LOX truck because of the way it is. Yeah, Fossil, I think that's really the right answer, right? That's nice. Eee. That's nice. Oh, I like that. Oh, man. Dude. I know that 20 isn't gonna fly, right? But damn, does that thing look cool. Look at that monster. Thomas, 20 needs to go into like the Smithsonian or something if SpaceX ain't gonna use it. They need to put it in the Smithsonian like next to Discovery or something. I don't know how you'd get it there, but I don't know how you'd get it up to DC, but they're vacuum insulated, Ark. I forget what the distance is, like a couple feet. Boat. Elon said people just need to pay for the transport costs if they wanted it in a museum. No, the SLS that returns Hubble needs to the Smithsonian. Yeah. Oh, yes, I agree. I understand what you're saying, but also that sentence is more of a train wreck than when I crashed the train in RRO. I'd live in the payload bay, to be honest. Nice. How close is the Smithsonian to the Potomac? Not. Where's Enterprise at? On Intrepid, Kuro. Buck, W means the starship that brings down Hubble needs to go to the Smithsonian with Hubble inside of it, which would be pretty cool. At least I think that's what he was saying. I mean, if it was, that means despite the sentence, I still understood what he said. I don't know what that says about me. New bulkhead rolls. See that right there? These things are going to make that. See this right here? See this guy? Stop looking in the mirror, Sirius. Could the Intrepid support Ship 20? Sure, why not? Would that be even safe to display with all the radiation it's soaked up? It doesn't soak up radiation, Jim. It bounces it off. It's aluminum, dude. It bounces the particles. Yeah, long story short, dude, I think it'd be fine. But, you know, Jim, here's the thing. You know what? Maybe we should frick around and find out. Just saying. Maybe we should, go get it and find out. It does look nice, though, doesn't it? Why would it be radioactive? I'm confused. What's irradiating it? There's a lot of radiation in space, Jack. Yeah. Space is full of it. Cosmic radiation, solar ionic radiation. There's a bunch of radioactivity up there. Yeah, we're talking about Hubble. Yep. Nope, that guy's welding something. Has anything been up in space for a long time that's been returned? LDEF is probably the thing that's been up there the longest, and that came back down. It was up there for a number of years, Bill. They deployed it in 1985, and then they went and got it in 89, I think. I'm not certain on this, but isn't Hubble the oldest operating telescope in orbit currently? I'm pretty sure, yeah. Maybe Chandra. I think. Yeah, Vasya, the X-37 maybe, yeah. That's a good point. How long was that surveyor part there? I don't know. Do you think that once testing for Starship is complete that SpaceX will paint the exterior or leave it bare steel? Jay, my gut's telling me that they're going to paint it, but I can't come up with a good engineering reason as to why. Hey, Oki. I mean, I'd say maybe eventually they'll do one. Maybe they'll paint it for fun or something. What the hell? Zeus. It's a spot robot. Oh. Doggo.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
1,000. Uh-oh, no. Oh, dear. Hokey gifted a sub to DJ. Thank you. Don't all the HLS renders have it painted white? Yeah, but the context of the question, fellas, was not HLS. It was regular Starship. That's a nice picture of a car door. What in the frick? That's just weird. I don't know how that would... Penta, I don't know how that would be a thing to prevent that. I don't know how paint would... Maybe, I don't know. Strebin, 7-month resub. Thank you. Note the camera pod. The camera pod with the camera pointed right at the hook point. So they could see how it catches it when it tries to land. Why does the top of the booster have ribs like that? They're there for structure, ProSkill. That is the part where Super Heavy attaches to Starship. That part's got to be strong. That's literally Starship's foundation, right? Yeah, that part of the rocket between two stages has to be one of the strongest parts, believe it or not. As strong as the engine section almost. Oh, Penta, okay, yeah. Yeah, but Relativity's rockets, Penta, are made out of a different metal. Maybe metal conductivity has to do with it. Did you see that Marcus House got an interview with Tim Ellis? Yeah, I saw it. Yep. I haven't watched it, but I knew about it. Oh, yeah, got to ratchet strap it down. Got to make sure that once you do that, you do a good tap on the side of the barrel segment and say that's not going nowhere. And only then will it not move. Back hole. Those things are so cool. That guy with the little briefcase on his lap is the one driving it. Nice. Telescoping crane right there. Loading up counterweights. Crane loading up the counterweights onto the SPMT. Oh, it looks like it's got the saddle with it too. Interesting. From what we've seen, the payload door for the Starship 24 Yeater will be on rails either side of the slot and will move up on the rails to open the bay. Like a garage door, Thomas? Huh. I think we got one more to get us all caught up. That was a planned feature at the very beginning, DJ. They decided for tiles instead. Transpiration cooling was too difficult. It's easy to do on like a nuclear warhead, for instance, because that's not very big. It's hard to do on something the size of the vehicle that the nuclear war that was delivered on said that nuclear warhead was delivered on. Employing transpiration cooling in scale is not a good idea. And ITAR too, probably. Yeah, something like that. Why, RJ? I just want to watch this, man. Just want to watch this, man. Happy, 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 happy. Hokey, I mean, ITAR aside, fellas, I honestly think tiles are a simpler solution. There's a very good reason why the shuttle used tiles. Yeah. SN-24 is going to deploy a payload. Zay, that's what we think. Thomas, is there anything in this video about it? Ship 24's nose cone nearly ready for stacking. Yeah, I think they're putting in a Starship payload dispenser. And it's like a Pez dispenser for satellites. It's very strange. If they show it, I'll show it to you. Yeah, Bill, right? Tiles are easier to clean than carpet. You know what, Deadly Chicken? That's a very good way to say that. That's a really good way to say that. You're right. I mean, you're not wrong. The man ain't wrong. Yeah, that's a really good point, man. That's good, man. That's funny. Do they out Starlink satellites up? Master, do they put satellites? Do they put Starlink satellites up? What, SpaceX? Yes, they do. I'm not sure what you're trying to ask me. Do they out satellite Starlinks up? I mean, with Starship. I think the first one will, Master, yeah. Trucks. Trucks, baby. Trucks, baby. Move that locks to the pad so we can see a launch of the Starship today. What? $15 was the last one, Alcohol, yeah. Oh, what are they doing over there? Nice cinder block work. Yep, putting a cover over the top so water doesn't trickle into the cinder blocks. I didn't know ITAR covered the heat shield. Does that mean any piece bought off eBay is illegal? No. Tiles are not ITAR. No. I mean, if you go and find a tile on eBay, it's most likely a Buran tile, which means it was stolen. There was a lot of that going on, you know, when the Soviet Union collapsed. A lot of government property just kind of found itself kind of, you know, on eBay. Yeah. I mean, eBay was a little bit later, but also, yeah, it's not, Grace, it's not illegal. But the Russians might be a little annoyed with it, but then again, I don't think they care about Buran that much. What was the next thing I was going to say? There are different types of cooling mechanisms that are different types of heat shields are, used for missiles that are very much ITAR. Not tiles, though. No. Maybe it was the Russians putting it on eBay in the first place to fund their space program. No. Probably not. I was wondering what this is. SPMT power pack. Okay, what are these right here? Yeah, right, goalie. What a crock that is. Steel beams? I'm not sure those are steel. Yeah, it's rusting. They're just painted. Yeah. No, I wonder what this structure is. It seems to be a little chunky for such a small structure. What will be the next Starlink launch? I'm not sure. There's another one soon, though. There's all the hydraulics. See, they capped off all the hydraulics lines for the SPMT. This is the power pack for it. Yeah, see, it just links up. All you do is just drive the SPMT up to this thing, right? And it latches in, plugs in there, and then you just plug in all the wires, and boom. Now you have a mobile transporter. Yeah, the 10th Magellan, yeah. Those are, yep. Hydraulics. That looks like an accumulator right there, but I'm not sure. There's a filter. That's definitely a filter right there. Very crude, but this is what it's looking like it will be. The cover moves on the light rails. Okay. Yeah, I'll show that in a second, Thomas, yeah. There's a New Shepard launch tomorrow about 4 hours before my start time, Sirius. So take whenever I start on your clock and minus 4 hours from that. There's a filter right there. Big hydraulics. Boob. It's at the... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, those are the space news, John. Kuro, that big building is at the front. It's at the entrance to the launch site, which is very weird. Yeah, sure, Make. Maybe add 8 hours on top of that because Blue Origin can't launch on time to save their lives. Serious? You know what? You're probably right. I'll be here at 8, but screw me. I looked at that launch the first time I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm going to be there the whole day. I got you, did I? You're probably right. So bad. Now that we said something, though, it is going to launch on time. But see, now that I said that, now it's not. Damn it! Should be a nitrogen system. It will be pressurized at around 2,000 psi. It helps move the hydraulics. Oh, interesting. Huh. Will we see old grumpy EJ in the morning? No, I'll be here. I'll be fine. It's a rocket launch, Ma. That's something to get up for, dude. My crane has the same system.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
No, now that you said that, they will push the launch by a day. They're going to launch in 5 minutes. Gil, hey, AJ, glad Mark and crew made it home safe on 19. Me too. And you know what? Before, Gil, I should have said this when I covered it, but Anton Shkaplerov is one of my favorite cosmonauts. He's clearly one of the coolest cosmonauts flying around. Because when he handed over the station to Tom Marshburn, he said, look, down on the ground, I don't know what's going on down there, but up here we're a team and we work together. When he handed the key to the space station, he transferred station command before he left yesterday to Tom Marshburn, who is Crew 3 commander. And yeah, Anton's cool. I've always liked him. He's a cool dude. Grumpy J? Oh gosh, don't do that. So, yeah, Gil. Anton's cool. Him and Peter are cool. They're cool dudes. There's a lot of good cosmonauts over there, man. Despite what's going on, you know. It's Gil. You know what? It's what I keep saying, dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's what I keep saying. Listen, still a Datsun. Dude, it's almost like if you're going to send and put people up into space, there are certain kind of things that you just really don't have time for. And if you're going up into space, one of the things you don't really have time for is what's going on the ground. It doesn't matter what country you come from. Which I always thought was really neat. That's really cool. And Gil, like, one of the first things I said when this whole frickin' thing went to hell down here on the ground is keep cool. In space, you can't let stuff like this screw with your judgment. You're going to get somebody killed. And once again, even Dimitri, with all the crap that he's saying, this, that, and that, I mean, still, space operations are still going ahead as normal, and we're still working together. You know? So, take that for what it's worth. You can take some solace with that. Oh, before people say, well, Anton Shkaplerov is Ukrainian, by the way. Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know. NASA 5 is carrying Mark is now over Romania. Right on, right on. In space, no one can hear you, Rule 8. Well said, Driz. Anyway, that wide bay is getting there. Look, they put in the reinforcement for the cranes right here. There's going to be... The roof needs to be extra reinforced because if you think about this building, it's not very thick on the outside, right? It's just... I mean, those girders are pretty heavy, but it's going to be holding up these gigantic freaking... gigantic gantry crane in there, right? So... You gotta, like, they're gonna have to put in a lot of reinforcement up here. There's gonna be the tracks, right? It'll probably just likely ride on I-beams or something, but gotta be the tracks and everything to put this all together to get the crane up there. You have basically a huge mass up at the top of the building. That's part of the reason why this building has the support built on the outside. These things right here, I get asked this a lot. What is this stuff for? These are called flying buttresses. It's when the supports for the building are outside of the building. You use this when you want to make the inside of the building hollow. I don't think I need to tell you why the inside of the building needs to be hollow, because you need to build this thing inside of it. Oh, the wide bay gantry cranes are there already. Very nice. Like a Gothic cathedral. Yeah. Interesting, Snatcher, huh? Flying buttresses like this, yeah. They're used all over the place. Smart. They've been there for a while, Core? Right on. Yeah, we were talking about Plumbrook, NASA Plumbrook's vacuum chamber. You see this, well, that's the triangle, that's the windbreak. That's not the mid-bay, but it's a little bit bigger than this. This one right here. Let me go forward back to where we were. The blisters are cool, man. I did a little drawing on this the other day as to why they repositioned the COPVs on this. It's actually really smart. It's a really good idea. So, you see these things? These blisters on the bottom of Super Heavy? This, like, triangular thing? It's freaking wings. It's wings. Yeah. There's two of them. If you're looking at the front of Super Heavy, there's two of them on the sides down the bottom. And when they're triangular, and when you put them together, it makes the bottom of Super Heavy down where the center of mass of the booster will be when it's flying. It makes it flat, almost. It's close to flat. So, interesting. It's gonna, yeah, T-Man, it won't do exactly that, but it'll do something like that. Yeah. Yeah, here, I'll draw it in paint just in case anybody doesn't understand what the hell I'm talking about. So, Booster 7, right, if we're looking at it from the top, has these blisters on it, on the sides, and they're triangular shaped like this. Right? Actually, a more exaggerated thing would be kind of like that, right? So when Super Heavy, right, here, I'll draw the diagram again, right? Right, Super Heavy's coming down, right? Here's all the engines down there, right? The blisters are like right here. Right? And then there's another one on the other side. And then you got your grid fins right here, like that. And then here's the center of the booster with all the reinforcement, etc., etc. Right? These two things, that and that, are right there and right there. So when the booster's coming in, oncoming air is going to be coming at this kind of like this, right? And air is going to get compressed under here like that. That thing's going to fly. It's going to freaking fly. I swear SpaceX is just copying your design from KSP. I don't think they're doing that necessarily. T-Man, if they had a toroidal wing down at the bottom, then I'd be like, excuse me, what the frick? But yeah, no, it's called convergent design, guys. There's only, okay, I'll give you an example. There's only so many ways you can make a door or a window. There's only so many ways you can do that. Because eventually, something is going to be similar somewhere. Another good example of convergent design is Formula One cars. Every Formula One car is made by a different company, by a different chassis works, everything. There are some components that are the same, like the wheels and the tires. But the wings, steering wheels, side pods, all the rear spoiler, all that stuff on the car is all in-house. They look very similar, though, because the convergent design comes through in the regulations. So, convergent design is absolutely a thing. There is a very good reason why every single airliner flying today, you know, it could be an A320, could be an A330, could be a 777, every single one of them looks very, very, very similar because that's a really good way to build them. Like two engines on the wings, hanging underneath the wings. The wings are on the bottom of the fuselage, right? You have two elevators and a rudder out back, like tricycle landing gear. That's convergent design. It happens. A bow and arrow would also be used as an example of this. They were developed all over the world separately. Also pyramids, Papa, yeah, good example. There's a good reason why the Buran looked like the shuttle. Exactly. They wanted to match the capability. So they wanted to build something that could do what a shuttle could do. So Who knew? They wanted to build a vehicle that could do what the shuttle could do, and it ended up looking like the shuttle. I know. Funny story, huh? Yeah, you know, did you know that in the 60s, the Russians came out with a new MiG design? That MiG design was called the MiG-105. See that? See the MiG-105? What does that look like? Huh. Huh. Interesting. Convergent design, man. It's in more places than you think. A car, an automobile would be the same idea. Yeah, Gagan, interesting, huh? MiG-105 in KSP when? Dart was pretty much that, Panta. Dart is pretty much a MiG-105, dude. What about Steve Austin's ride? I don't understand the joke, Gil. I'm sorry, man. Can you explain Russia's crazy rocket that changes velocity and heading at Mach 4+? Alcohol, I mean, yeah, of course I could. But, okay, what I don't understand is why everybody's making a big deal out of hypersonic missiles. This is not new. It's not anything new. Everyone's like, oh, they have hypersonic missiles. They have hypersonic missiles. Like, yeah, okay. And they always seem to imply that you know, A, the US doesn't have this, or B, if we do, it's some type of prototype technology. I'm fairly confident that the US engineered something, let's see, 50 years ago? Actually, exactly 50 years ago, that can come back from orbit and maneuver at hypersonic speeds, change direction at hypersonic speeds, and then land in a very, very distinctly designated spot, like within maybe a couple feet. I'm pretty sure we designed that already. And yet still hit targets. Yeah, I know. You see that? Yeah. This technology isn't new. So how did Russia make a hypersonic missile? It uses something like this. Space shuttle does exactly what a hypersonic missile is supposed to do. It's the same thing. The space shuttle hits the atmosphere and can steer at Mach 25. This is not anything new. This is something, it's not new. It's just a lifting body. It's a missile that's shaped like a lifting body. Simple as that. Heck, the Soviets came up with that in the 80s. What do you think the MiG-105 was supposed to be? Well, that was the 60s, but look up BOR-4. The BOR-4 test model for the Buran program. Look at this. Gee. Huh. Huh. Interesting. There's your hypersonic missile. I'm serious, man. That's it. It's not anything new.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Holigams, tier 2 50-month resub. But it does maneuvers. That is crazy. Crazy to you? Space shuttle flies through re-entry, man. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still amazing. That's a really cool capability. I really wish we weren't using it for missiles and we're using it for more space shuttles. But yeah, it's not anything new, dude. That's the honest truth. Steve Austin was the $6 million man. I get the joke now. Thanks, Dart Guy. I don't know. We'll check it out, Kuro. Oh, I don't know if we actually have... anymore. Huh. 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 Wait a minute. Which one is this one again? That's 22. 21 is in pieces, right? The back section of 21 is there. 21's front section is on 22's aft section, and then 24 is the new one. So, Thomas, where are these pictures? Got it. Freaking bug. Gonna try this crap with me? That's kind of gross. Sanitize up, chat. Whoosh. Got cat-like speed and reflexes. Hey, Paper City, what's going on? So, Thomas, this is 24, and that's the rails right there? Interesting. Are those on the other side? I don't know. And then, what was that second picture? It's a freaking train. It's a train. It's a choo-choo train. I get it. Do you? I get it. Thomas, do you get why they would do that way? I do. It just clicked in my head. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Ding, 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 ding. Why would you want rails on the outside of your vehicle like that? Anybody? I get it. I know why they're building it that way. At least I think I do. I think that it's a prototype for something else. Yeah. Yeah. That's why they're building it that way. Ah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I don't know that for sure. It's just a guess, guys. Uh-huh. What do you know from funny, you chatstered? Oh, yeah, Ernok, I saw your picture of that. That looks like fun. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Thomas, my guess is that track mechanism on future starships will be all the way to the top because, you know, parking garage on the moon. Also, Cybertruck. Cybertruck. It's gonna happen. Calling it now. I seriously think that. You know, the more and more we think about it, the more and more it makes sense. You take a Cybertruck, right? You take Cybertruck. Hear me out for a second. It doesn't need to be pressurized, okay? You take Cybertruck, and in Cybertruck's pickup bed, you take Dragon's environmental control and life support system, you put it in the pickup bed, right? And you know what you're going to say? Oh, it's got to be pressurized. No, it doesn't. They'll just use their spacesuits, and they plug it into the armrests like they do on Dragon. There's no way NASA would think that's safe enough. There's not a chance in hell that that's a thing. But also, I can dream. There's no way that NASA would find that safe enough. But honestly, I think that those are the prototype versions of the rails that are going to be on the elevator, Thomas. I think that would be a fair assessment. You might as well make them into the payload bay cover. Because, Thomas, we know that this segment right here is a lot longer than that. They cut out that segment initially and then said, wait, no, never mind. Well, if Elon does it on a NASA program, it doesn't matter, right? I'm sure NASA will be involved in some way, shape, or form, but yeah. I've been saying that from the start, that Cybertruck is just a test bed for lunar and Mars rovers. Yeah. Yeah. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know, Sawyer, maybe. But dude, I've heard they used missiles that's really hard to change the trajectory because they are Mach 5 plus. That and they hit hard. I know. What I'm telling you is that it's not anything new, and you keep saying, yeah, but what about it? And I'm saying, yeah, it's not anything new. It's not anything we don't know about. And you're saying, but yeah, what about it, though? I understand. I know. I'm not. I don't. It's not anything new, dude. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm not saying it's not gonna hurt if you get hit by one, but it's not anything new. Just say, my boat. Do you know what's messed up? If I type twitter.com/ha, it bring look at what it auto populates to. If I type in twitter.com/HA Fenderman, it auto populates with my boat. I don't know what that says about me. But also my boat. All aboard the Steiner ship. All aboard the Steiner ship. Look at, no, that guy must be what, 1 million more times happier than he is. No. See, he's not happy because his team is doing well. He's happy because he has a boat. Look at how happy that man is. Look at that. Look at the genuine joy in his face. The genuine joy from that boat. The genuine, the joy. Look at the joy on this man's face from this nice little boat. He wanted a boat, now he's got a boat. Look at that. It must be the day he got it or the day he sold it. I'm not sure how that analogy works with Formula One, but also, yeah. But look, he's... Can you imagine how many bleeps would have been needed if these two had met on the grid on Sunday? Oh, God! Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Oh, well then, okay. It's my boat. So yeah, all right. I think we're all caught up on everything, unless there's something that I missed, dudes. I think we're all good. Yeah, exactly. It'll just be boop, like the station has gone off the air. All right, what's this next one? Oh, yeah, that's right. This is one that we needed to cover, too. Here, check this out. Look, Nick took these pictures today. Raptor 2. Look at that. Yeah, it's very nice. I just got here a few minutes ago. Did you talk about the Hubble news? Nope, I didn't. ESA announced the Vigil mission, Swishio. Oh, that's pretty neat. Cool. I didn't cover the Hubble news, no. I was busy looking at that. Can you blame me? Are those the pipes? Are these the pipes that fuel will flow through? Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a pretty cool read. Okay. Meet... What is that? Meet Arendelle, the most distant star ever detected. The star, detected by the Hubble Space Telescope, showed just 900 million years after the Big Bang. Wow. Nice. Cool. That's pretty sweet. 900 million years after the Big Bang. That's a long way away, man. That's a long way away. How was Hubble able to see that invisible light? The galaxy appears magnified and stretched into a long, thin crescent shape due to the gravitational lensing effect of a massive cluster of galaxies in the foreground. What? Yeah, because it's going to distort the light. Yeah, seriously, if you're trying to see a galaxy and another galaxy comes in front of it, it's like looking through a window. It'll bend light the same way a window does. Yeah, only it's not bending, well, it is bending light, but not because of refraction. It's bending light because gravitational pull distorts space and time, which is really freaking cool, actually. That's Einstein's theory. That's what he was on about. Yeah, that guy was pretty cool. Patent clerk, though. It's pretty cool. 900 million. That's a long way away, dude. Okay, so the reason why I say 900 million is a long way away. So the reason why is because since the Big Bang of the universe, since the Big Bang happened, right? That was billions of years ago, right? Billions, B. The universe has been expanding, right? So the further away something is, the older it is, usually. I'm pretty sure that's right. So if they said that they had something that's 900 million, that was there 900 million years after the Big Bang, that's really, really, really far away. Like really far away. Like incomprehensible distance for our minds. It would be like trying to tell an ant to go to Australia in New York City. Be like, all right, we need you to go to Sydney. The ant would be like, I'm an ant. I don't know what you want from me. I am in fact an ant. I do not understand what is an Australia. I'm going back to my anthill. Bye bye. Yeah, Hokey, how'd you know? That's aunt. There's a U in there. Sorry. Brimo says that too. Every time she's like, "Oh, my aunt Herpaderp." I'm like, "You have an aunt named Herpaderp?" Like, is that part of the ant farm? And then I usually get a frick you after that. And what was that about Gordon Ramsay? Yeah, I usually get a you after that. Why you got so many insects? Yeah, right? Yeah, it's very weird. You deserve a frick you for that? No, I don't. It's not my fault you're saying it wrong. Look, everybody gives me crap for saying car keys wrong. Why is this not a thing with Midwest? What is this? Midwestern fragility? What is this? What is this? It's ridiculous. Think of how many possible civilizations have come and gone out there. Yeah, Goalie. Yeah, it's probably the reason why we haven't found anybody. Because they've probably lived and died before we lived and died. It's most likely. Keep my aunt's name out of your mouth. You know, I know you got timed out, Ilac, but also, man, I rewatched Independence Day the other day. It's a great movie. You could say it slaps. Prez woke up today with fresh prints on his face. Rocky guy, you know what? When I was driving doing errands when I was on break like a couple hours ago, I was listening to the radio. Yeah, like an actual like radio. I know the Mustang doesn't have XM or anything or CarPlay. I was listening to the radio. I know, and the local rock station said so. Chris Rock is on tour right now. And he took a break to do the Oscars, right? And his next show is in Boston, and those tickets are going for like $1,200 a pop or something ridiculous. $1,200 a pop, and it's sold out. All of his shows in Boston are sold out, which is really all right. I mean, dude. I mean, okay. All right, good for you, man. Rake that money, dude. Do it. I did. Any press is good press, I guess. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he's actually on right now, App State. Yeah, I think one of the shows is tonight. $1,200 a ticket, man. That's really funny. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I find that funny. It's probably not for a good reason, but it's still pretty damn funny. Jeez. I don't know what you're talking about, Panta. Who? Who's that? I don't know who that is. What's this, Goalie? Why you guys all link YouTube videos all at the same time? That's very strange. That stuff's orchestrated. Those are both funny, Goalie and RV. Yeah. Yeah, Driz, right? Hi, Tal. That's true, Lenfrod, yeah. He single-handedly transferred wealth to Chris. Ah, these jokes write themselves. We have a spreadsheet with times the permitted sentence. Sometimes I wonder, Filler. Sometimes people in chat say the exact same thing. Like, I'll be like building railroad tracks and somebody's be like, oh, you should build it to the left because of this reason. And then somebody right after that will say the exact same thing. Like, same type, same everything. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, we said the same thing. I'll be like, nah, you're doing that on purpose. You're doing that on purpose. Convergent discussion. Fool's minds seldom differ. I like what Buck said better. Because we are clones. No, it's just a bunch of bots screwing with me. We're a hive mind like the Borg. Nice. Nice.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I still wonder about that, you know. I still wonder if I'm like, I've just gone insane. You know why? Think about when I started streaming. I started streaming in December of 2012. Man, I really hope I'm not like in a coma or something. That would really suck. That would really suck. Because that mean like the last like 10 years would be just a dream. I wouldn't be surprised, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised. But also at the same time, that would really suck. Wake up! Yeah, I know, Buck. Isn't that nuts, dude? That was the last real day. It's been all simulation since. I agree. Wake up! It's time you wake up now. Oh, God, don't do that! Change the subject, chat. He's catching on. See, Mab? That was a test. That was a test. Because nobody would have replied to that if that was really the case. You wouldn't have made a joke. Right? See, that's how I know. That's how I know, man. Wake up. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Now that I would believe. Eat the silica gel. Escape the simulation. That's... No. Big coma brain move. Alright. Blue pill or red pill? Which one do you take? Are we talking about within the construct of the Matrix? Both at the same time, man. Because I like to party. Both at the same time. What happens if you do that? Wait a minute. Is the blue pill just a roofie? Okay, this space news ends now. Yeah, time to play summer car. Oh, crap. That's not good. That's not good at all. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg will trap everybody in the metaverse. Jeez. It's a placebo? You know what, Seven? And you know, Graham, you're telling me that I can live in a simulation in the 90s over 2022. Like, you know what you know what I constantly see, like, in my travels on the internet? People saying, oh, I wish it was the 90s. So, I mean... That's how you know that we're not in the Matrix, right? That's how you know, right? As long as it's not a suppository. Wrong show. It's an Altoid. Okay. Is it time for summer car? Alright. I would love living in slime, okay? Did I see your USS Yorktown build? In what, Penta? Last day of the MSC save, here we go. Oh, wait, MSC, it feels like the 90s. Oh, God! No! No! That's not good. We're about to play a game that exists in the 90s. Or is trying to exist in the... Man, that's one hell of a segue that I missed, Hooded, huh? Missed it by that much. Your dog got the radar mast. Dude, why didn't you paint it? Oh, you are painting it. Alright, cool. Right on, man. That's cool. Why is it the last day? Because he's joking about how I'm gonna die. Because he's not a good person, Iron Spark. Let me get the steering wheel. We gotta make more cash. The light just went out. That's good. There we go. There we go. Ah, yes. Pain Simulator. It's not Pain Simulator. It's Finland.